Let's step outside.
You! Get out of here! You're obsolete! That thing is a killer!
Peter Weller again stars as a mechanical policeman in RoboCop 2, this time battling an evil version of himself. RoboCop 2 is one of 5 summer movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is RoboCop 2, and all during this movie I kept asking myself, how can a movie this violent and confused also be this funny? It's like there are 2 movies here. One is an hilarious satire on futuristic advertising, and the other one is an exercise in violence that really offended me with its portrayal of a young boy as a vicious killer. The movie begins with Detroit in still more trouble than it was in the last RoboCop movie, and Dan O'Hurley plays the billionaire who wants, in his words, to take the city private.
RoboCop 2 will seek out every laboratory, every dealer, and rid our city of mutants. Things will be a lot quieter with this boy around.
Peter Weller plays RoboCop again, and the movie raises the question of whether he's more of a man or a machine. It's one of several loose ends that never get tied up.
Are you Alex Murphy? No. Are you human? No. You are simply a machine.
I am a machine.
Linda Bauer plays the psychologist who reprograms RoboCop, and there's a subtle hint here that RoboCop may be deliberately giving her the answer she wants. That's also not followed up on.
You know, I'm really very lucky. We can do in moments with you what would take years with a human patient.
I'm really very lucky.
Now, what I couldn't show you because the studio didn't include him in the scenes they supplied is a young boy named Hobb, who is played by Gabriel Damon and is the right-hand man of the drug dealer. This is a kid who looks about 12, and he mows people down viciously with a machine gun and uses a whole lot of R-rated 4-letter words. It really disturbed me to see this little boy in this violent role, and it disturbed me even more when I started to think about it because RoboCop is rated R, but as everyone knows, kids do get into R-rated movies like this one, and even more of them will see it on home video. Was this 12-year-old criminal written into the movie to give the underage viewers someone to identify with? I'd like to think that wasn't possible, but I can't think of any other reason for such an unlikely, depressing, inappropriate, and distasteful script decision. Isn't any age group immune from violent cynicism?
Well, that was my reaction to the picture. I was sort of flabbergasted. You sit there and these words are coming out of this kid. Now, I'm a big fan of Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, which showed people probably more in their 20s, a roving gang, a street gang, and I can understand why that can be done with intelligence and with a point. Here, it's just like they're looking for a new trick, like a different kind of monster. All right, we'll make the kid the killer, and it wasn't even winked at anyway. It was played pretty straightforward, and it had. And you mentioned that a film this funny. There were just a couple of bits, Roger. I think you have to be careful. There were a couple of cute bits in the film that are funny. The futuristic ads.
More than a couple, Gene, but they just are dropped in. It's very strange because the movie is one thing, and then every once in a while, it's like you're watching television, and you get these commercials, like the commercial for the seatbelt that ties the car thief.
That opens the picture up.
There are several moments like that I did laugh at, and I thought, gee, this is funny. I'm laughing, and now I'm back to the dreary, depressing movie, which is a mess as far as the screenplay is concerned, which is very offensive in the use of this 12-year-old. Now, make no mistake about it, this kid does kill people.
Yes.
He does take over the drug lord's gang.
Yes.
He does mastermind
And it isn't played for laughs in any way. It isn't played cute. It isn't Bugsy Malone. It's mean-spirited, ugly, and you said the screenplay is a mess. It is a mess. There are stories that are not tied together. In the first film, we had a warm feelings toward this RoboCop character, a man, some kind of mutant in a machine, and here's none of that.
We can't even make up its mind if he's in there or not.
No. Okay, our next film is a picture called The Adventures of Milo and Otis, a Japanese-made film about the cute relationship between a cute little kitten and an even cuter little dog. There are no people in this movie, just animals, and the voice of Dudley Moore, quite funny as the interpreter of the animal's thoughts. The cat Milo and the dog Otis first meet as infants on a farm.
Milo, Otis said, I think we're having a baby.
One day, Milo's curiosity lands him in the middle of a fast-moving river.
Quick, jump in. This will be fun, Milo shouted. Otis didn't know what to do. Hey, this is great. Come on. Hurry up, Otis. Come with me. Maybe Milo was having a terrific time, but Otis was pretty scared.
As in most nature movies, the cute animals are in danger from bigger animals.
The bear saw what was in that box. Then came Otis. He surveyed the scene and he knew. Sometimes a dog's got to do what a dog's got to do.
Of course, Otis does wind up saving little Milo, and they each become parents of more cute little fur balls. The real issue in evaluating this picture is just how much cuteness can you or your children handle in one movie. For me, even at only an hour and a quarter, I was restless during The Adventures of Milo and Otis, and if it hadn't been for Dudley Moore's fine narration, I would have been really restless. One more note, there has been a rumor going around that kittens were killed during the making of this movie, a rumor. According to the American Humane Society, however, that rumor cannot be confirmed as truth. Instead, the association's statement about the film cites a number of positive endorsements of the movie from Japanese animal rights groups.
I think you're right on the money. It's an awfully cute film, and I think you're going to have to be an awfully little kid to really be fascinated by it. I can think of two movies like this, Benji the Hunter and The Bear, which both, cut together footage of animals to make it look like a story, that are both much superior to this film. And as far as this film is concerned, I mean, in terms of the classic scenes that I'll remember when I finally hang up my hat as a film critic, I think the number one is going to be when little Milo gets married and his wife is going to have kittens, and he's teaching her how to breathe using the Lamaze breathing method. And then she, I mean,
Moore does his best. It's what he is required to do. He does very well. It's hard to imagine somebody doing better. I just think that why couldn't they vary this a little bit more? I mean, it just. Also, I don't know that it was that beautiful either.
Well, every once in a while, if you're above the age of 6 or 7, you're thinking, how are they getting the animals to do this? And for example, remember the scene where the three little puppies each climb up on top, first the first one, then the second one, then the third one, climb on top of the log. You could almost see the third one being pushed up into position.
Okay.
When
we come back, Alan Alda is the father and Molly Ringwald the bride in Betsy's wedding.
I don't think you guys understand that the wedding lasts for one day, but we're the ones that have to live together.
Our next movie is named Betsy's Wedding, written and directed by Alan Alda, starring him as a Long Island building contractor whose daughter is engaged to be married to a rich kid. Even though things aren't going too well financially for him, Alda gets competitive with his future relatives to see who can spend the most money on the wedding.
I'm going to get them a catering hall.
No, I'll tell you what. I'll get the grand ballroom with that dance band.
No. I'm going to get them a tent.
That's Molly Ringwald as Betsy, the bride-to-be. Her sister, played by Ali Sheedy, is a policewoman.
I just love arresting people.
You do?
Yeah. You get these guys, push them over the hood of a car, kick their legs apart, read them their rights. I'm high for the rest of the day.
To raise money for the wedding, Alda borrows it from his brother-in-law, Joe Pesci, who in return asks him for a favor, hire the nephew of a mob associate. The nephew turns out to be an extremely sincere and thoughtful young man.
By the way, congratulations on your daughter's wedding. Are you happy with the young man that she's marrying? Yeah. Nice kid. Wonderful. When the parents don't approve a prospective son-in-law, it is not good all the way around. I would never put myself in a position like that.
That's Anthony LaPaglia as the nephew, and the best performance in the movie. Despite his connections to professional crime, he falls in love with the sister, who's a cop.
I have the highest respect for your father.
Thank you.
You think you'll be offended if I requested your permission for a kiss goodnight?
I don't really discuss that with him. I think you have to apply to me personally. It'll be fine.
The unlikely romance between the policewoman and the gangster nephew is actually the funniest thing in Betsy's Wedding, which otherwise is a fairly predictable and low-key movie. I don't know if you remember a film called True Love, which came out last autumn. It was a blow-by-blow comedy about a wedding between two Italian-American families in New York, and it was a movie with so much more juice and energy and feeling of risk to it that Betsy's Wedding seems almost indifferent by comparison. The level of passion just isn't high enough. It's all about humorous little conversations and colorful little slices of life and warm little insights, all except for that relationship between Ali Sheedy and Anthony LaPaglia, which I kept hoping they get back to.
That was exactly my reaction. In fact, I wonder, and I think it's just because films just cost too much money, but if I had been directing that picture, I think I would have been able to have seen how exciting those two characters were, and I wish I could have just said, let's hold out, let's stop the production for a week, and let's rewrite this thing, and really take the story away from the Molly Ringwald character, because those kids are kind of boring. I mean, her husband-to-be has nothing going on.
Actually, Gene, the story is never with the Molly Ringwald character. Molly Ringwald and her husband-to-be are minor characters in this movie, even as it stands now. I think Joe Pesci as the brother, and Burt Young as the mafioso, and Alan Alda and Madeline Kahn are the ones the movie is really about.
Well, I guess what I'm talking about is enlarge.
Yeah.
I don't care how you do it. Enlarge these characters and have them be the focus, because they are. And this Anthony LaPaglia, I mean, obviously it reminds you of Robert De Niro when you're watching it. It's kind of comic performance that De Niro did give early on in his career and would do later on. And this guy is that good. Otherwise, it is ordinary. You know, except for the one truth that they have their finger on is who's going to pay for the wedding, and all these things become the final act of the parents, a part of letting go, and the movie does have that much going for it. Nothing else.
Okay, coming up next, Gremlins 2, the new batch, featuring more critters that go bump and crash in the night.
Hey, where did you find this guy?
In your office, where you said.
This is not...
Called Gremlins 2, the new batch, and here's a sequel that really suffers because it is so repetitive. Not with the original film so much as with itself. The Gremlins run wild here and run wild some more and then some more. All that's holding the action together is a slight parody of the entrepreneurial world of a billionaire developer modeled after Donald Trump and Ted Turner. The bad little gremlins have invaded a Manhattan office building, and Zach Galligan, as the film's young hero, tries to warn his disbelieving co-workers.
They start out as these small furry animals, and then what happens is they eat after midnight. They metamorphose, and they form cocoons. Look, sir, you're having a psychotic episode. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Typical of the fuss the gremlins create is when they run amok in a toy store in the building's shopping mall. The lead naughty gremlin in the picture is a character called the Brain, voiced by Tony Randall, who explains on a TV show to an audience of people and gremlins that his gang wants to be civilized.
I mean, you take a look at this fellow here. Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
I really enjoyed the first Gremlins movie. It was funny and also had some meanness to it that seemed to be funny as well. But this new picture is just too frantic for my taste. It starts out with a cute, good little gremlin, and then all heart and emotion in the film disappear. The Donald Trump jokes and the Ted Turner jokes start to wear thin, and once you've seen one gremlin create a mess, it isn't really a whole lot funnier to see 100 gremlins doing the same thing.
I completely agree with you, and additionally, it seems to me that the gremlins in the first movie were better made, that they were more interesting as creations. We know, of course, that they're a combination of, in some shots, they're probably like Muppets, and other shots, they're probably slightly animated and so forth. They have various ways of doing this. But in this movie, they just look like dolls that you could kind of, that were being pushed into shots or popped up in front of the camera or something. In the first movie, I really had the illusion that they were genuine little creatures instead of simply props.
We hadn't seen them before, and I
Yeah.
remember going to that movie, and and the movie held back, showing what they were, and there was a great sense of discovery and wonderment about them. And here, it's true, they are right up front. They're like in a toy store display to be purchased in some way, and it makes them a whole lot less interesting.
You know, the movie began with this little fake cartoon that starts out like it's going to be a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and then Daffy Duck comes in and they fight over who's going to get the top billing, and they finally decide that since they can't both be in the same cartoon, they might as well start the movie. I would have liked to have seen the whole cartoon.
Yeah, that annoyed me. If you're going to set up a cartoon, particularly for a picture like Gremlins 2, I think you ought to deliver the cartoon. Why frustrate us? That was all a strange way to start a picture.
Coming up next, a Hollywood director makes a personal documentary about the origins of the universe. It's called The Big Bang.
Orgasmic explosion.
The movie is named The Big Bang, and this is an odd and offbeat, fascinating movie in which a director named James Toback, who has made movies in the past like Exposed and Love and Money and Fingers, goes around asking people about the meaning of life and the meaning of their lives. Toback himself is often on camera, as in this scene, where he pitches the idea of the movie to Joseph Cantor, the producer who came up with the money to bankroll the production.
All of a sudden it occurred to me, I understood, I knew how it all started. What started? The cosmos.
Some unexpected people turn up in the movie saying unexpected things. Of all the people Toback talks to, my favorite is a former gangster, now movie actor, named Tony Sirico. He seems to be filled with a vast loneliness.
The first 6 months in Cannes, I had a real bad time. I was madly in love with her. And she didn't come to see me. She didn't even stand in the back of the court and wave goodbye to me when I went away. And for the first 6 months in the Cannes, I was... Yeah, you didn't want to know me. I was a dangerous, dangerous kid. And then one morning I woke up and then I could breathe again. It was gone. It was all over. The best day of my life was the day I fell out of love with that girl.
As a newspaper man, I interview a lot of people, and often I probably quote them about pretty trivial things, like asking a movie star what he thinks about the character he plays in his new movie. When I get the answer, I sometimes feel like the other guy's mouth is on automatic pilot. What's challenging about The Big Bang is that really fundamental questions are asked about love and ambition, death and fear, and what will be left of you after you're gone. These are questions a lot of people think about all the time, but they never talk about them. As The Big Bang moves along, it's almost seductive the way you get involved in these enormous issues. It's the kind of movie where you want to go out afterwards and have a long philosophical discussion.
I had the same reaction to the picture, and I also realized how little I really require of movies. And I mean that in this sense. We're sitting here in the summer of '90, which I'm calling sort of the summer of money. These mammoth productions, big money, big promotional things. Here's a little picture that all it does is ask some interesting questions to people, unlikely people, and I'm entertained. Now, what am I asking for with that? All I'm asking for is something that I keep saying this, something that is as bright as I know that the people on the screen are capable of delivering. I keep coming back to that.
I think maybe what you're asking for also is show me or tell me something I haven't seen or heard before. Now, you take RoboCop 2, which they spent tens of millions of dollars on.
Right.
Have we seen large metal objects crash into each other before? Have we seen machine gun bullets spray around? Have we seen people fall over? Have we seen them drop from tall buildings? Have we seen them talk in the cliches of TV, science fiction, and cop and crime melodramas before? Yes, we have. But have we ever seen a guy who used to be in prison and who
that was a fascinating character,
lost his wife and who feels that he'll never be loved again, talking about that? No, we haven't seen that before, and so it's new and it's interesting.
That is the single most interesting character. You're absolutely right. Now, this film, I'm told, which now is about an hour and a half, originally ran over 3 hours, and he, Toback, the director, said he cut it back because he started to fall asleep at the 3-hour length. I don't know that I would have. I would like to have seen a much longer picture with these same people, particularly with that former gangster.
Well, if there anything that it's at, it moves very quickly. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs down for RoboCop 2 with its shockingly offensive portrayal of a young boy as a killer. 2 more thumbs down, although somewhat affectionately, for The Adventures of Milo and Otis, a cute little dog and cat story targeted at little kids. 2 more thumbs down for Alan Alda's Betsy's Wedding, although we love the relationship, between Anthony LaPaglia and Ali Sheedy is a mafioso and a policeman. 2 more thumbs down for Gremlins 2, the new batch, which got old in a hurry. But finally, 2 thumbs up for James Tovak's The Big Bang with unexpected people talking about big fundamental questions. And you know, Gene, summertime is supposed to be teenage time at the movies. Lots of teenagers go to the movies on dates. They're at school, they can go every night of the week. A lot of teenagers are really interested in fundamental questions about life and really interested in what grown-ups think about them. I think that if I were a 15 or 16-year-old kid, I'd rather see The Big Bang than Gremlins 2 or RoboCop. Of course, I may not be the typical 17-year-old, but nevertheless, there you have it.
Well, I'll tell you which one's going to pay off more for you after you leave the theater, and that is certainly The Big Bang.
That's it for this week. During the coming week, we'd like you to look in your local listings for a new 1-hour special that Gene and I have made called The Future of the Movies. We talk with directors Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Martin Scorsese about their futures and the movies in our futures. The show plays at various times in different cities between now and June the 30th.
It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly, now appearing at theaters and video stores with good taste. Jelly Belly beans, try them, you'll love them. St. Ives Swiss Formula Collagen Elastin Lotion. St. Ives Swiss Formula soothes and softens dry skin instantly, naturally. St. Ives Swiss Formula. New Blue Ultra 5, the longest-lasting automatic toilet bowl cleaner. Blue Ultra 5 cleans and freshens your bowl for up to 5 months. To give your dog a delicious meaty taste and variety of flavors, please don't bother the butcher. Try new Butcher's Blend and Butcher's Burger brand dog foods.